Let's call the commissioners' meeting to order, please. I'm going to rearrange the agenda just a bit here, and we'll start with Sheriff Ritter and Chief Deputy Moore, talking about the drone purchase.
Yes. So, as you know, we've been out of need seeking the purchase of at least 2 drones to be used for law enforcement investigations and traffic crash investigations. The amount of $55,000 was approved through opioid settlement money for the purchase of these drones, and now we're hoping to move through the purchase process since the amount exceeds $50,000. We've managed to get some estimates of costs, which we've provided to the commissioners of some of the drones, and just to give you a kind of a landscape of what we're looking at. And I believe we've established a set of parameters that we can put out of what we need in terms of their capabilities and functions, and our desires for the quality of product and its capabilities. Now I think we need to just move on. We've talked with Steve Higginbotham about putting that out for bid, and ready to move forward with that.
Okay. Steve, any comments?
No, Alan was giving me the specifications, and I just got that before lunch. I'll get that out this week.
So we're talking about quotes submitted and sealed public.
Yep.
Request for quotes goes out at least 7 days before the required to receive.
Yes.
If received earlier, at least it's sealed to the time.
Yes.
Open in presence of 2
The only
days.
thing I would ask or question, we can receive these electronically, can't we? So,
Is that considered sealed?
Well, the statutes aren't really keeping up with the technology, but the cases and opinions are, that
We know.
practices are.
We know about that. Okay. And those will come back to you or to Alan or
I'm going to ask the
Sheriff?
sheriff.
To Bobby? Okay. So she'll be the point of contact. So it'll take a few weeks at least. But hopefully be able to get a purchase authorized and before the end of the year.
Yes.
Move forward.
Hopefully before the end of this month.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions that Bobby answered, you refer to Alan.
Yep. That'll be on the request for quotes. If you have questions, contact. She'll just receive them so that they'll be protected.
Will the specifications be provided, or will they have to be asked for by
I'm going to provide them.
Okay.
Alan has provided, we need to do at least 3 vendors, so I have those names as well.
I did have one additional question. If the vendor, or if a vendor has a QPA, I'm assuming that has no bearing on this process.
If they have a QPA, and I've looked, do you think the state has a QPA on one of these?
I don't know.
Yeah, see,
It may be federal.
I didn't find the state QPA, but I will check that to make sure. But there's purchasing consortiums, but we're not a member of any of those right now. We have been in the past, and in the past, if we've been a member of those, you could buy off those consortiums without bids. But we're not a member of those at this point. So we used to be like for office supplies and furniture, that type of thing. But
So is there a way to check whether there's a federal QPA?
Yeah.
So we're going to check that as well. Okay. Okay.
Now, I think the last question I have is for my own knowledge, and it doesn't apply in this situation, but as we read, and I'm a little bit confused on this, as we read the purchasing agreement, or purchasing policy rather, it anything under $25,000, and it gives no lower limit, still requires 3 bids.
Three quotes.
Or 3
At
quotes.
least 3 quotes, and you handle those. You have the authority as a designated purchasing agent to do that. The kicker is, though, you can't artificially separate things to get it below that 25,000. In other words, you couldn't quote these drones one at a time to get it below that 25,000.
So if, no, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to lead anybody down that path, but essentially, if I need to buy a box of ink pens, I still have to get 3 quotes.
No, I'll get with you and we'll go over this, because I think there's some other folks that have the same questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to get into the employment issue? Are you prepared with a recommendation? We can do that today, right?
We can make a recommendation,
Right.
or a decision.
Decision.
Deliberations. Oh.
Yeah, I'm fine with, I mean, you know, if we're ready at that point, but I am. I mean, I think that I'm willing to look at the sheriff's recommendation for that employee. It's his employee. He knows what that position is and how he can operate with this person working from home.
And I would prefer that we set a shorter time period. I think through the end of the year, we can always revisit it, but in the meantime, we can begin looking at our policy and making some changes. Would you all be comfortable if we grant through the end of the year work from home for your employee, and then if need be, we can revisit that. In the meantime, we'll be starting work on investigating what work from home policies look like and what we might end up with an official policy position.
And the only 2 questions I would have is yeah, I would be comfortable, and this is not a question, but a statement. I'd be comfortable if you know, there's an agreement that it can be revisited depending on what her circumstances are and
Sure.
the proposed care from her doctor. And then the other question that I would actually have is if you establish a policy, then does that become retroactive?
No.
Okay.
No.
Still be revisited and
You know, of course, depending on what the policy is, it may not be necessary to revisit it, but it could.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. All right. With that being said, then I'll make the motion that we grant this individual the ability to work from home until the year December 31st. That with a stipulation that if need be, we'll revisit extending that.
and I will second that motion. Ron, you look like you wanted to say something.
The motion's fine. I think I might direct Bobby to leave your calendars so that a couple of weeks before the end of the year, this issue will be timely revisited.
Yeah, with the
Giving
holidays.
the employee adequate time to consult with
Sure,
the
we don't
physician
want it to
if
go
that's
to the
necessary.
final hour and be making a decision. Okay.
Like maybe to like December 18th. I mean, allow it to go through the end of the year, but
Yeah, I'd say even the second week of December, we can take a look at it, check with you, see where we're at.
I think just to get everybody back,
Additional
now that it's
requests.
going through the cracks.
Exactly.
at the
Okay.
last minute, we're not trying to shuffle them.
Get her medical appointment.
Right. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Attorney Ron Cross is next.
I think, Steve, you can talk about contracts, you want to just go ahead and do those now.
Okay.
Uh,
You get the other. You have one up there, and each one of you have a copy of the lease agreement for the tower.
Option and lease agreement?
Yeah.
Is that the northern AD?
No,
What's this option?
option lease
Oh,
agreement,
okay.
this is for our leasing the site on our land out by the highway department to the third party
Tower company.
erect tower.
Okay. And you've reviewed it a couple of times.
And I know you had some changes
now.
and satisfied now with,
Actually, I got them in and, once I figured the color code out, I was able to, we basically agree on everything.
Okay.
And did you get the answer back from Barry about the survey after the sign?
Actually, I think you've already begun the survey and the permitting
Okay.
process.
Because it's not attached to the
No,
survey.
it'll be provided and have to be added.
Okay. So you're comfortable that everything's in order for us to go ahead and approve
We
that?
call it my big concern, and I've had it in a lot of different legal and factual nuances with private clients as well as now public client, whether it's a solar field, whether it's a windmill farm, or in this case, we're looking at a cell tower. Getting into the deals are great. It's when they
Getting out of them.
getting out of them or figuring out who's going to be left to
Right.
restore the land. So it's called decommissioning. We have the obligations created in there to my satisfaction, the number, financial number of the security for that in the form of either, well, the way it reads now as a letter of credit, but you can always accept comparable security if you want to put a pension deposit or if you want to buy a surety bond. But that amount is $25,000, which I think is probably adequate. We don't require it until after the 5th anniversary because it's kind of burning money when they're getting up and running. And
Right.
expect closure of that. So that's kind of a risk we're taking. But then it becomes reviewable on the 15th anniversary, I think. 15th, 35th, and 45th, I think. Because it's a 50-year lease if it's exercised the way up to the max the option allows.
Okay.
And in that review process, there's a provision for you can't agree on a number.
Page 10.
Page 10. Commissioning an engineer or someone knowledgeable in the industry to tell us what the current estimated reasonable expenses for decommissioning a tower this size of the dimension would be, and then that would adjust the security requirement based upon that engineering review. So I think there's a process we put in place that makes, at least the citizens are the last resort backup.
If they have to, if we have to, and obviously, as long as we need the tower for our radio communications, we want the tower to stay up and active.
Yeah, I mean, that's why so frequently, not so much these, but you see it in town, windmills and what have you, they're being overbuilt sometimes, or overbuilt for one capacity and location. Now decommissioning is a hot item.
Right.
Solar panels still, because it's hard to farm under.
Brad, you have any questions?
no, if you're ready for a motion, I'll make a
Think so.
motion that we approve this option and lease agreement with Iron Mountain Towers LLC in the county and authorize the president to sign.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. How many
Just sign,
copies do we need?
since it's not signed by them, just go ahead and sign one, and then I'll get it back that way.
I'm going to go ahead and sign two just for the heck of it. I'm satisfied with my a look at my signature on that first one, so
Use black.
I can't. Thank you. Okay, what's the next one, Ron?
Well, believe it or not, I approved a contract for almost $200,000 in consistent bid and a half.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. I was seeing this number and I was like, this is the contract.
You know, it's what they typically do. They're gonna be in here, they're gonna be out in literally, what, weeks? 10 to 12 weeks. They come highly recommended, rather than hold up the process. The only,
Don't say only.
well,
Don't say only.
a concern that I have with the document as it is, there's some reference to need for second shift after hours support from us, and I think that's going to be related primarily to moving desks, chairs, furniture, pictures.
We'll move the stuff during the day, but an IT has committed to being with them in the evening.
Okay.
Just for technical questions and that type of thing.
Okay.
And that was put in the specs that we would provide an evening contact person.
Yeah, the specs aren't part of, they're referred to. I think it's good, comes highly recommended. Not over with all your pick one and get it done.
So two of these.
Two of these, okay.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve with the, and authorize the president to sign this contract with Northern AV for cabling for an amount of $178,830.90.
Second that motion.
Either in Illinois, LLC, down here, Chicago area.
I forget where they're from.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sign these. Okay, what else do you have?
I don't have anything other for you. This is a summary of your downtown revitalization projects. I think you updated council this morning. This shows you there were 13 that have been signed off on. MOUs have been executed by the property owner and by the developer, actually. So, in two cases, the developer is different than the property owner. And of course, the property owner is a part of it because we wanted to put in a contingent condition of the forgiveness loan.
Right.
Similar to what we're seeing with some of the federal first-time home buyer programs are starting to use, go back to these retention programs. In our instance, the award, as was explained this morning, council is up to $100,000 forgivable over a 5-year period and requiring the 25%, at least 25% for the excess cost of the project match of the owner. So that two of them, Meredith LLC and the third one is a property owner selling the premises at 716, 718 East Main on contract to the Hillards, that again, LLC has been created. So the actual developer is the Hillards. Meredith LLC is a contract seller that signed off on the restrictive covenant that has the law back in it.
Okay.
And the second one was the Portman entities, the real estate's owned by their partner, by, I mean, all these relationships wrong, but I think by the parents and uncle, if you will, or father and uncle. And then they have an operating entity for the restaurant, I go by it. So the restricted covenant is by the property, but the property owner forms a partnership. The rest are the developer owners of the property. So this is information where the restricted, where the deed restriction is recorded at. So in the records of the recorder's office.
Okay, good.
That for your file. I gave Beth back all of the original deed restriction documents that she's got.
Okay.
So that ought to put an end to our phase of it. Now, I don't know what, if any, I certainly haven't volunteered responsibilities we have to help the city with their $1 million.
Right, they have also have $500,000 to commit. They still are working through which properties will be involved, so.
I provided my template to AJ, if he was most wishes to use it, if he doesn't, fine too. So as far as I'm concerned, I've got my file here, I'll kind of close it.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll never resurrect itself. Because who had drafted the language, passage of time will affect the lease deed restriction. So we don't have to go and file these.
Okay.
Now, if they sell the property earlier, we go claw back. At the closing, when we get paid our 20% that's remaining, or 40 or 60, whatever it is, then we will do a piece of the document as consideration. When we receive it.
Okay.
We'll have to claw back.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Any questions, Brad?
Nope, glad to put this one to bed.
And I'm cleaning up a couple of the others, and I think looking at maybe a more simplistic approach under light elimination, Jeff's stuff, just more correct.
Yeah, I think if we work with the EDC instead of working with each of the individual towns where we're doing
I
something.
think it passes on the administration.
Exactly, exactly.
And
And
put that name. Val might be.
I have in front of me the contract with Thermobond for the buildings that are going to go on the tower sites to house the equipment. And there was a change.
Paragraph 9 is the concern I had. I hadn't seen that.
Okay. It was actually just in the listing of the equipment and the specifications
Oh,
of
okay.
the equipment. It said that it was 8 inches wide instead of 8 feet wide. And so Barry got it revised. And so I think he's looking for us to sign this contract. We've already approved
Let's just
it.
say, didn't we approve this? This is
We
to approve
approved it.
the
It's just
correction.
incorporating that change from it being 8 inches wide to 8 feet wide. You know, the generator would
I don't
fit
think
in
an
an
8 inches.
8-inch wide building.
8 inches by 10 feet.
Exactly. So while Ron's looking at that, Steve, why don't we go ahead and start with you? Okay, to just sign it. We don't
Yeah, they-
approve
Right.
it.
Vision, I was concerned about it.
Okay.
I guess we'll make a motion to
Reapprove.
reapprove the contract with Thermobond with that correction. The only change would be the correction from 8 inches to 8 feet.
We are buying a much bigger building now. I will second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Steve. Okay, Steve.
I was thinking,
I like for you to do that every now and then.
well, I'm not going to go into great detail. You heard this morning unless you have some additional questions. Let's take a look at the generator project out there. They're finally moving forward with that. They should have they're going to bring the landscaping in Friday to plant. And the contractor has been working inside, and there'll come a time in the next couple of weeks where we'll do the switch over, but it seems to be moving forward in the right direction.
So the installation, the outside installation is complete?
Yeah, it's bolted down and it's not wired yet, but
Okay.
they got fuel in it, it's wired, it could start, it won't generate anything, but it's ready to be hooked up. And then they'll be finishing the landscaping around Friday.
Okay.
And you mentioned this morning about the Prox card, and I did hear from the company that it's giving us this quote. I still am expecting this anytime. They have to get another vendor to do one of the components because that particular component wasn't readily available. So I did get that email yesterday, so I anticipate that's the last piece before we get a report on this. And I have said I'd like to have this by workshop.
And you would like to, and I would like to,
I
but in
really
case
want it
that
by
we don't
workshop.
get it,
I really want it by workshop.
I just thought this morning that it was important to
Sure.
put
Yeah.
that on the table as a possible switch that we
Yep.
need to make. Not that we're giving up on the project, but that we're changing the payment source so that we're not.
Have a little bit more time.
Exactly.
And then they're finishing up the Expo Hall HVAC. I think it's actually today or tomorrow, but that project will be finished as well. And
Okay.
then WCTV will start to mobilize because now we've got the election equipment out of the Coleman Center and they'll start working in there.
Did the roof get done?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that got done on the 30th.
I knew that was a concern.
And
As the wind picked up,
they
have to keep
remember, you got
expanding
20-mile-an-hour wind, so they
the no
expanded
parking
their
zone.
code.
I saw that, I was out there Saturday.
And so
Oh,
they called Jeff and I went out there and I was gonna be the tough guy, say you gotta quit, blah, blah, blah. But they were just finishing up, they were taking their equipment down and putting it in the truck. I thanked them, we went on our way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Worked out well.
And I had unless you have some other questions about the projects, had a concern raised by an employee who parks in the US Bank lot with potential elder Behrman demolition. They were questioning dust coming over onto our parking lot and dust coming into this building. This building, the air intakes are above ground, they're above the roof line. They're filtered as it comes in, and then each individual VAB has filters, so I'm not concerned about that. They wanted to know if we had an alternative parking plan for those folks in the US Bank lot as the demolition takes place.
Don't we have plenty of parking on the west park
That
lot?
was that is going to be my response.
We have plenty of spaces over there, just if
Where?
they, over on the other side.
West side.
West side.
Yeah. I think.
I just give them that option.
Okay.
If they want to park over there.
I can approach the mayor to ask if they can park in the city's lot. It's not a lot farther away, so.
I would assume, and I haven't seen the specs, that there's something about dust control during the demolition.
I would think so.
There should be,
Yeah, again, I don't know what the parameters are.
But it's not gonna be perfect either, so.
Yeah. Okay, that was what I was gonna suggest, and I appreciate that.
And any other place that has free parking available,
On-street parking.
they're welcome to park there and walk to work from wherever that is. And I'll talk to the mayor and see if there's a possibility of folks parking down there, so there's another option.
Yeah. We're not gonna be the only one affected, but it's obviously manpower folks that got parking lot, right next door.
US Bank.
Phillips Drugs, the bank.
There will be some.
Yeah.
And so speaking of that demolition, I think Haley had some conversations with the Sweet Blessings owner about whether they could use our facility.
Some time ago.
Right,
Yeah.
and so have there been, because this is imminent now.
I know,
I don't know that there's a specific date for
Fence is
Yeah,
going
well,
up
demolition.
now.
Do you know?
they're gonna commit,
Monday night, the mayor was saying next week,
The
the
11th.
actual, with the skywalk, they can
Or
start.
the skywalk, but the actual building itself, there's not a,
After that, apparently the company is finishing a couple other projects, and so they're mobilizing
they're taking things out as we speak. There's components that, the old
from the inside of the
inside.
building. Right.
They're taking the skywalk down the 11th is when they're gonna start, and they're waiting on one permit or something for the actual demolition of the building.
Why don't we have Haley get in contact with Sweet Blessings and just, say, hey, we need to keep us informed of what the timeline might be, because we may not be able to accommodate them if it's the 11th hour and they say, we need to show up tomorrow.
Has there been I can't remember, has there been something said about the length of demolition? I know
It's relatively short.
it is, so
It's
it's like they have
2
to do
weeks.
some repair to that wall. There's the wall that separates.
Right,
the
but
two.
that's not part of the demolition. It's part of the same contract.
Right, okay.
But I don't even know whether that will preclude them from being in there
Right.
operating. So I assume it in part depends on what they find when they get the Elder Beerman building down. There may not even be a wall there for all.
There may not be a.
Let's not say
It
that.
may just be wallpaper.
It may just be, yeah, a little facade between the two of them.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, my understanding was it would be 2 weeks or less,
Okay.
but I'm sure that's subject to change.
Do they call them after the landfill? What do you think that's
I don't know. It's not one of the county's contracts, so I haven't paid that close attention to it, Steve.
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
That's all I got.
Okay. Bobby? Right.
Do you want to approve the consolidated edit line item and the transfer of funds?
Yes. So we asked council this morning to approve the creation of a line item in the consolidated edit fund, line 30800, Wayne County planning process, so that we can proceed with the new planning process. They approved it subject to our approval.
I heard all these questions. I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer.
And the creation of the
Creation
line
of the line.
item. We have a motion. I will second that motion. Any further discussion? And this is for the president's signature. If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The EMA transfer,
That was one of those this morning also. I mistakenly sent all those papers over to Amy after the meeting, so I don't have that paper for approval.
okay, but does it require just the president's signature?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the EMA transfer that occurred this morning, authorize the president to sign.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do you have the claims? Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 30th, 2024.
I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And make a motion that we approve claims. We have regular claims dated 11/4/24. Claims from Boston Mutual, monthly, payroll, state and local taxes. Done flex and garnishments. Payroll for November 1st. And claims for November 1st for PERF and federal payroll taxes. Approved.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything from the auditor's office? Ron, anything further?
Maybe, I think it was just an FYI, but Pete Zaleski sent an email, I don't know if he sent it to all commissioners advising that Al had in the executive committee come to terms for to officially the contract.
Yes, I did see that.
So I don't think you need to approve it, but just to make sure as well.
Okay, yes. Good. Bobby, anything else?
Nothing I know of.
All right.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
tires from Councilwoman.
Yes. Thank
Williams.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
So, the,
You're welcome.
the trailer park north of town,
Garden City.
127 Garden City. So there's an unsafe building in that park. One of the issues with that building, as I recall, is a pile of tires. And WUR has a grant to dispose of tires. There's some room within that grant that could pay for having someone pick up that pile of tires and have them recycled. Do you want to pursue that with, as something that wouldn't necessarily be a lien attached to the property, or what's the?
This is that property that Sora has given to you for action. You see an issue with that going on, picking up the tires?
Well, it's not, the property's not abandoned, is it? I thought
That's the issue.
the guy still sort of lives there.
Correct. He lives in jail and there.
Yeah, I understand, because state provided housing and he has his own.
Yeah, that's right. So,
So should we not do that just because of that
Well, I think the
situation?
unsafe building arises from conditions in addition to.
In addition to, I mean, it wouldn't fix all of the problems, but it would be a way of disposing of those tires without paying for that out of unsafe building funds.
the fact that it's occupied, I think the step that we're taking now to get a court order is handles it better than just going out and getting.
I think so. I mean, I didn't make that connection when we were talking about, Steve was talking about it earlier.
So after there's a court order, if the grant is still available, we might
Yeah,
pursue that.
I don't know anything about the grant.
I don't either. This,
I'm not sure when it
Kathy
expires.
brought this up this morning.
Right. Kathy Williams is
And
more.
I suppose it could be hard
in
to
tune
do if
with
the
those.
grant still exists, but I hesitate going to do it now.
I understand, I'm not pushing, I'm just suggesting that
I
there
mean,
is this money available.
If we had any contact with the guy, we could approach him, but Steve has not been able to do.
Yeah,
contact.
and any contact has been totally negative.
Negative, right. Okay.
Adversarial.
So why don't we, shelve that unless or until we have a court order?
Yeah, that's kind
At
of
which
my.
point we'll see if it's still available.
I'm going to do that one, and give him the other two, I've got to do.
Okay. Okay, well, at least we know where we're at there.
And you'll have, there will be a,
Thank you, Aaron.
there will be a matter going to BZA next week for use variance to allow storage of fireworks along a rural area, and that's that road that I would expect will be getting some attention, so I'm be ready for it. I think the storing devices of the big containers that are frequently
Shipping containers?
that are back on flat rail.
I'm sorry.
12 of those are pretty good size, 40 by, I don't know, they're 10 by 20 or whatever. And there's 12 of them, and they're basically supposed to be, have been or will be full of fireworks.
Fireworks.
For storage, not for retail.
Okay.
Trucks breaking them in, trucks taking them out, so, and apparently the practice had begun without any permitting, so it's one of these, or it's in after the fact, so that will be coming up next Thursday. Issue.
Okay, okay. Probably, we should talk a little bit about WUR and where myself and Barry Ritter and Max Smith from the County Council met with two representatives of the Wayne County Soil and Water. As many of you know, the WUR and Wayne County Soil and Water have worked collaboratively for many years. I'm not sure when it started, maybe with the inception of WUR, I don't know. But they share employees, and there is collaborative payment for the costs of those employees who are actually county employees. So we made those folks aware officially. They already knew this unofficially, but we made them officially aware that the Wayne County Commissioners and the WUR Board have been looking at the possibility of dissolving that organization and working to I guess end the collaboration. We all tentatively agreed, subject to approval by the commissioners and the council in terms of funding, that 2025 would need to be kind of an unwinding year. I'm not sure, I'm going to ask you if you can go over with us. You started to put together a timeline of what we would need to do and the steps we would need to take in what order to officially separate Wayne County from that
And you just want me to
organization.
show this timeline of the separation events?
Yes.
And ignore what, if it takes the whole year to separate, what should be done during that year that hasn't been done in the past? And we'll just continue it.
No, let's not focus on that, but just what is the timeline? How long will it take to do that?
Shouldn't take very long, but
So, I mean, I guess, no, I mean, is it something that could be done if we started today? Could the separation, dissolution, whatever the proper legal term is, be accomplished before the end of 2024?
probably, you wouldn't be done, but you would have affected the dissolution, because that happens up again. It's effective upon the date stated in the resolution, and the same resolution, or two resolutions, it's passed twice by the originating body, which would be you folks, at public meetings, and there has to be at least 15 days between the first resolution and the adoption of the second. I think then there's a public hearing required before talking about this, issues related to disposition of assets and liabilities. Well,
Okay.
I haven't seen, I have questions as to the status of the contract the employees and do they have an employment agreement, or are they employees at will?
They are employees of Wayne County government
And would continue to be,
and would continue to be,
so they're not factored.
because their home office, their work location is at Soil and Water.
So yeah, you would have affected the dissolution. You may not have completed the process of dividing the assets, because that involves an element of negotiations that I think we're talking about.
Right, right.
And it can, and like an agreement that documents the terms of whatever agreed upon as to asset division and liability assumption. Liabilities to assume.
Right.
And then that goes, a copy of that gets filed with the commissioner of the Department of Environmental Management. And I think that's kind of it, back in the statute. But once you deliver the resolutions and the effective date stated in that will control, my advice would probably be suggest that you have an effective date of December 25. Because I know we get the resolutions done and delivered. We can get substantially down the road before the identifying assets and dividing, and then the public hearing if we have to have a 10 days notice.
So Brad, any thoughts on, I think what I heard you say was we can start now, we can probably dissolve the group or have most of the steps done, but not completely done. So
You may not be completely done. But
so that we would still operate WUR during 2025?
I would not be operating dissolved in it, no.
Well, that's what I kind of heard.
No.
I heard a conflict.
No, I'm saying the process of the dissolution is complete upon delivery of
And
the,
we could-
to effect the dissolution.
And we could do that by the end of this year.
Yeah. It's like a divorce decree that gets entered and the marriage ends at that point. There may be some executory obligations to the part of the spouse to pay the other later, you know, a little
But
bit.
would we be doing that as Wayne County government or as WUR?
County, we can.
Okay, so
County succeeds to the assets and
I would be all in favor of pursuing dissolution by the end of 2024, but working with Soil and Water to make sure that the employees are treated fairly and that there's plenty of funding, would be plenty of funding available to continue that operation.
And I don't know where you stand with Councilman Williams, but I would think a courtesy comment ought to be appropriate. I mean, I don't think
She's been involved in the conversations.
I'm talking about Commissioner, I said Council.
Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes. Commissioner Williams has been involved. I've talked to him weekly for the last month or so.
I think my announcement last time was that it's no longer on my plate, so I didn't bring the file with me today, but I'll get it back on my plate.
Okay.
Get the resolutions drafted.
Okay. So there's nothing to be done today other than to say, Ron, let's go on with it and get it done by the end of
But
the year.
I'm in complete agreement with that.
Okay.
We've been talking about this for months,
Way
so.
too long, yeah.
So let's,
Okay.
And again, you know, the other issues we talked, we went over with Richmond Sanitary District, I gave kind of 411 to Sigmund and a copy of the statutes that Pat had given us that we looked at and talked about. And again, my conclusion was that the tipping fee that is in place that has been pledged in the past or has been diverted in the past, I think pledges that the WR by the Richmond Sanitary District can remain in place. It succeeds to the county, and the county has to use it for the purposes that the tipping fee was formerly used for within the county. So that means we don't have to use any of those monies for services in Union County.
But it also doesn't preclude us from allowing Union County residents to take advantage of those
That
services.
doesn't preclude you from basically contracting out whatever
With
the
Richmond
defined scope of
Sanitary
services
District.
recycling is, we'll say Richmond Sanitary.
Okay. Or to continue, for example, paying for.
And those are the
recycling.
details I'm not sure we can get fully put to bed.
And I agree, and those would be not decisions of the WUR board, but decisions of Wayne County government once
Exactly.
the dissolution takes place. Okay.
No, actually, there's no decisions by the WR board other than I probably want them to be signatories to the agreement dividing the assets.
Well, other than if we keep the organization functional and the board then would make those decisions on what the program of work is going
Yeah,
into next
but
year.
if you keep WR going, yeah.
Right.
But my premise is you told me not to, you're not gonna do that.
We don't want to do that.
Okay.
We want to dissolve the organization. So again, I've had extensive conversations with Tim Williams, who's the president of the Union County Board of Commissioners. We've had conversations with Richmond Sanitary District, with Ron Oler, Richmond Mayor, now with the Soil and Water folks from Wayne County. And it's my understanding that they will have conversations with the Union County Soil and Water folks. So I think we've touched
I think they had a
all
few
the bases.
issues last night.
I don't know.
It wasn't Tim, he was unopposed, but
Yeah.
I think Dave Perry Edwards,
Right.
very good recipe.
Okay. We'll follow up, and we get this done this year. It'll still be up to date. Okay. Anything else?